Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. For this video, I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty bracelet using beads from the dollar bead box. Now, the beads that I'm using are from December's box, and for December, everybody got bead strands. It was a very special box that they haven't sent out before, and everyone had strands of beads. There was no packs with like findings, anything like that. It was all bead strands. It was an amazing box. Anyways, everybody got a different color bead strand, so there was variations of colors, so no one got the same colors. So chances are you're probably not going to be able to make your bracelet the same exact color I made mine. But the good thing is I've been subscribed to the dollar bead box for over a year now, and I realized that the beads that I used in this bracelet are beads that I already have in my stash. They've sent these beads out in different colors, and they're still sending these beads out in different colors all the time. These tiny little daggers, I've gotten them in the past, and I made a ring with them, and I actually have some in my stash right now called tanzanite. They're gorgeous. The mushroom beads, I've already gotten those in the past. Remember, I used them in a it was like a wrap necklace and bracelet. It was a 2-in-1 kind of thing, and these came in a clear purple color with like purple swirls going through them. So we've got the mushroom beads before, and the lentils, I've used those in the previous tutorials where I've made my flowers, and a lot of you made those flowers. So chances are you're probably going to have these beads in your stash already, and you can take what you have from December's box and go into your stash and try to put some nice colors together and make this bracelet. So I will be using my new, I love it so much, it's called No More Oops beading tray to make this bracelet. It has these really nice dividers in it, and I can separate all my beads out. I will leave a link for this bead tray in case you're interested down there in the description bar below the video, because I know you guys are going to be asking me about it. And I think that's it, so let's get started. Here's the list of materials you will need to make a bracelet. You will need to cut 6 feet of 8-pound fireline. You will also need 2 size 10 beading needles. I'm using Tulip, that's my favorite brand. You will also need 24 6mm Czech mushroom beads, 66 5x16mm Czech dagger beads, 44 6mm Czech lentil beads, 11 5mm Czech fire polish beads, 24 4mm Czech fire polish beads, 44 3mm Czech fire polish beads, 10-0 or 11-0 seed beads, and I'm using a cup button, but you can use any clasp you want. This is the list of materials, and remember, I always put the list down there in the description bar below the video. I already went ahead and put my needles onto my thread, and I made sure that my threads are even so that my needles are in the same spot. There you can see my ends. So I made sure that my needles are in the same spot on each end of my thread so I don't run out of thread on one side. And the first thing I'm going to do is pick up 3 seed beads, slide them down, and I'm using 10-0 seed beads, but it really doesn't matter what size you use. Okay, and then I'm picking up my cup button, and you can use any button or any clasp that you want. And if you are using another clasp instead of what I'm doing, you would just pick up like 6 or 8, you would have to see which number is best, seed beads. And then what you would do is pick up the 4mm and cross through it. That would be your loop. And if you want, you can pick up a split ring and the clasp as you're picking up your seed beads so that you have a secure closure. Okay, so there we go. I just have my button and my seed beads now. Now what I'm going to do is pick up 5 seed beads on each needle, and I'm right-handed, so I gotta do it like this. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. 5. Slide them down, and then pick up a 4mm Czech fire polish bead and crisscross your ends through that. Bring that down. Okay, now I'm not going to reinforce this right now. I'm going to come back to this point later on in the bracelet, and that's when I will reinforce this. The next thing to do is to pick up a mushroom bead on each needle, slide them down, and then pick up a 4mm and cross through that. Bring this down, and you should now have what looks like this. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is pick up a lentil bead on each needle. Okay, slide that down, and then pick up the 5mm Czech fire polish bead. And I am wondering if you can substitute a 6 in place of this. Maybe. If you don't have 5, you can totally try. Or just measure your beads. Go through your stash and measure your beads, because sometimes I will have a 6mm bead, like glass pearls, and I go to measure it, like I'll make something, okay, and I need a 6mm bead. This has happened to me so many times. So I see the beads, they're marked as 6mm. I go to use them and it's not working, and I'm like, what's the deal? So then I go and measure it, and it's not actually 6mm. It's smaller. It's like 5.5mm. So it doesn't work in the project, and that could happen to you, or that could happen to everybody, and it probably has happened to everybody, and you not even realize it. You just think your project's not working out, but what's probably going on is your bead is not the right size, and you think it is. It says that it is, but it's actually not. That happens to me a lot. So anyways, I just picked up the 5mm, okay, and I passed both of my threads through it going in the same direction, and now I have what looks like this. Now I'm going to pick up a lentil again on each needle. One on this side and one on this side. Okay, slide those down. They're kind of weird picking those up because of how they're shaped. And then I'm going to pick up a 4mm and crisscross through this bead. Okay. So now I have this, and you just have to make sure that this is sitting straight. Sometimes it's crooked. You don't want it to be crooked. I always come back and make sure it's sitting right. So then later on, when I come back through and I do the 3mm and the daggers, what those are going to do are lift these lentils up, and it's going to make this look more like a flower. Okay, so now I just did a 4mm. The next thing to do is the mushroom bead. So one mushroom bead on each needle, slide those down, and then pick up a 4mm. I am now repeating the same steps over. So I'll show you close up. So we started right here, and we're now repeating this same part again. Okay, so pull that down. And I actually wanted to do a 10-pound fireline for this, but I'm out of 10-pound fireline right now, because I am kind of using bigger beads. I'm barely using any seed beads. I'm only using seed beads in the closure area. So this is what I have now. So I'm going to be repeating this part again with the lentils, the 5mm and the lentils, and I'll crisscross through another 4mm. Okay, so here is a lentil, slide that down, pick up this bead, and I'm going to pass both of my needles through that bead, just like that, going in the same direction, like that. Okay. Again, pick up a lentil, and it does not matter if you swap hands with the needles or not. It's going to twist where the orange beads are at. That does not matter if it twists. Just let it do its thing. Okay. And now I have another 4 that I'm crossing through. Bring this down. Alright. So this one here, as you could see right there, the thread, you could see it's a little crooked. So I just have to pull this tight and wiggle this around. And now I have it in position. So this is what you should have now. And again, the next thing to do is the mushroom bead. So pick up one mushroom on each side. Slide the mushroom down, and then pick up a 4mm and cross through that. Bring it down. And again, this is what we should have. So if you look back at what you've already done, you can see that the next thing you have to do, because this area here is the same as this area, the next thing I have to do is pick up a lentil on each side, my 5mm lentil each side, and then I pick up a 4 and cross through that. Okay, so I'm going to do just that. Lentil on each needle. Slide that down, pick up my 5mm bead. I'm going to pass the same needle, or the other needle, through the same bead at the same time, just like that. Both are going through it in the same direction. Slide this down. This is where I'm at right now in my bracelet. So again, I have to pick up a lentil on each side and crisscross through a 4mm. Then the 4, crisscross through this bead, and slide it down. Okay, and I'm just going to adjust this to make sure that it's sitting right, and there we go. So I'm going to keep going doing this, repeating these steps until I run out of the mushroom beads and the yellow beads. Okay, and then I'll show you what to do when you get to the other end. So keep going, doing this, and I will be back. So I kept on going, and as you can see, I'm now down here, and I crisscrossed through the 4mm Czech fire polish bead, and now I have to make a loop of seed beads so I can pass my cup button through. Now whenever I make a bracelet with a button clasp, I always want the loop for the button to go through to be a little bit snug, because if it's too big, the button can slip right through and your bracelet would fall off. So I always make sure that it has a snug fit. Now when I use a cup button, I actually measure how many seed beads I'm using, because it's the perfect fit every time. So I have found when I use the Potomac cup buttons, you want to use 1 1/4 inches of seed beads and add 1 extra seed bead. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to measure. Okay, so I'm measuring this here on my ruler. I have 1 1/4 inch plus 1 extra seed bead. This is the perfect measurement for working with the cup button. Okay, I'm going to slide my beads down just like this. I'm going to take my other needle and I'm going to pass through all of these seed beads, and I'm also going to go through the 4mm Czech fire polish bead. Okay, pass through here, and I just gotta adjust this and slide this down. Okay, now I'm going to take my other needle and cross through the 4mm. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. This is where I'm at. I'm taking this thread here, that one, and I'm going through the 4mm, pass through, okay, So mine is loosening up. And actually, I'm just a little tangled right here, so I see that I just have to pass my needle through this hole to get mine untangled. Okay, so I'm going to put my fingers in the loop here, stretch that out, and while I'm stretching that out, I'm pulling my threads at the same time. Okay, so now I have this. So now I'm going to reinforce this loop. And what I'm going to do is take my needle one at a time and pass through all of these seed beads again, so that I'm actually passing through the seed bead loop 4 times. Okay, because this is going to get a lot of wear and tear. This area here is going to be getting opened all the time to pass the button through, so I'm going to pass through all of these 4 times. Okay, through these 3, and through here, pull that tight. Okay, that's 3 passes, and now I'm going to take my other thread to flip this over, and I'm going to pass through these again. So this is my 4th pass. And then once I'm done reinforcing this, we're going to add the other beads, which we don't have any of those yet in the bracelet. The 3mm Czech fire polish beads and the little daggers. Okay, I just have to go through here. Alright, pull both threads tight, and now we're ready to go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take my needle. I have to do the same thing to both sides. I have to pass through the mushroom bead. I'm doing the right side first. Through the mushroom bead, and then pass through the 4mm. Okay. I'm going to sit this down, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Through the mushroom bead, and then through the 4mm bead. Okay. Pull this tight, and now I'm going to be picking up my beads, which is going to be 2 3mm Czech fire polish beads on this side and 2 on this side, and then I'm going to have 3 daggers on this side and 3 on this side. Now here's the thing, my daggers, everybody got different daggers in December's color bead box in this size, but everybody got a different color. So the one I have is gold on one side, and then the other side has a mixture of color. There's orange, red, yellow, and some even have purple. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have the gold facing down on my bracelet, because I already have gold on the mushroom beads, and then the colored side is going to be facing up. So I have to make sure that I pick mine up in the right direction. And you might have a dagger that's, it doesn't matter which side you pick up. So let's see. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, so I'm working in this direction. This is going to be the top of my bracelet. So I picked my daggers up so they look like this in my bracelet. Okay, these here are dark, but you'll see the other ones are bright colored. So slide those down, pick this up. I'm coming out of the 4mm. I'm gonna go into this 4mm. Okay, I'm skipping over these beads through there. These beads are gonna make my lentil, on my lentils, floral, there's 2 of them. It's going to make them stand up, and I have to pass through this mushroom Okay, so I'm gonna stop and pull this tight, pop the lentils up. Okay, and then I have to pass through this bead here, so I have to go in this direction. Okay, pull that tight. So there we go. You can see how the lentils are popping up now. So I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to do the same thing to this side. And again, I have to pay attention for me which side my daggers are standing up on. So let's see. But all of the ones I picked are dark. Let's see. Is there any brighter colored ones? Here's one that's bright. Some had a lot of yellow. Here's a yellow one. Yellow and orange. Oops, I picked up too many. Okay, and then my 3mm. Just like that. Slide it down. And I'm going to do the same thing. Coming out of the 4mm, I have to go into this one up here now. Pull this through. I'm going to go through the mushroom bead, pull it tight, and then I'm going to pass through this 4mm, so that now that both of my needles are exiting in the same direction. Pull this tight, and there we go. You shouldn't see any thread right there on the 3 and 4mm beads. You might want to check that. Make sure it looks good. Okay, mine looks good. It's tight, and now I can go on. So I'm going to repeat the same thing I just did again. I'm going to pick up a 3mm, and then my daggers, and I have to pick them up this way. Yep. Okay, and a 3mm. Like that. Slide them down. I dropped a bead, and go through the 4mm right here. Your next 4mm in the bracelet. I'll zoom in so you can see. Okay. Again, pull this tight. I have to pass my needle up through the mushroom bead, and then through the 4mm. Now this one's in position to pick up those same beads again. Okay, pull that tight. The tighter you pull it, the stiffer these are, and they stick out. Alright. So now this one's in position, and I have to do this side now. So I'm going to pick up a 3. Let's see, make sure that's correct. Okay. And I gotta get a yellow one from over here. I don't have any yellow yet. So here's a yellow. This one's really pretty. And then here's a brown. And some of these have red. This one here has red. Okay, and then another 3. See that there? They're really pretty daggers. Okay, slide those down. Pick this up again, and we're going to do just like we did the other side. So I'm coming out here, and I have to go through this one, and if you look, I kind of pulled this side and it's already getting loose again, so you always have to go back and make sure that it's tight, and make sure that your lentils are sticking up before you pull it tight. Okay, and then I go through the mushroom bead, and then I go through the 4mm. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that everything's tight for me. Let's see. I'll lay this down. Okay, looks good. So I'm just going to keep going, picking up a 3 on this side, and then picking up a dagger. I need a yellow over here. I haven't done a yellow yet. Let's see if I can find one. Ooh, this one's yellow and orange. Okay. So 3 daggers. And then my 3mm, slide this down. And again, I'm just going to be repeating. So after I pick up that sequence of beads there, I have to go through this 4mm, pass through there. Okay. Try not to get caught like I am. And then up through the mushroom, reposition the needle for the next row of beads, and then pass through that 4mm there and pull this tight. Okay, and I'm going to do this side one more time, and then I'm going to stop and let you do this by yourself, because we're just repeating the same thing over and over. It's pretty simple. Okay, so on the left side now, I'm going to pick up the same beads again, a 3mm, and I need 3 daggers, am I picking them up in the right spot? Yep. Just like that. Slide them down. Pass through this 3mm, not 3, 4mm, excuse me, Czech fire polish bead. Pull it through, pop the lentils up, pass through the mushroom bead. Make sure you don't catch anything. Through the 4mm here. And now we are in position to pick up the same exact beads again and do everything all over again. You're just repeating over and over all the way to the other end of the bracelet, and I'll show you what to do after that. So here's what the back looks like. So see how mine's gold? I actually like this side more, so that's why I'm doing it like this. Just make sure that you keep a tight tension as you go so that your daggers don't flip as much. Okay, so just keep going, doing this stitch here. I'll zoom in so you guys can take a really close look at it. This is what it looks like. It's very easy to do. It's the different shapes of beads, the daggers, the mushrooms, the lentils, that makes it look like it's a confusing project, but it's not. It's a very easy project. So I'm going to keep going, and when I get to the other end, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I'm back, and I just picked up my last 5 beads. And I'm down here in my bracelet, coming out of the 4mm there. I have to go through this one, and I'm just weaving through, and I have to get back to the beginning, the very first 4mm. So now I'm going through the mushroom, and then through this one here. Okay, now both of my strings are exiting out of the same place. I want to make sure that I pull this very tight. And it looks really good. When you go to put this on, you're gonna lay it like this, face down, and make sure that this is flat, and then you go ahead and put it on, and then they're all laying properly. Okay, so I need to reinforce this button. I told you guys that I was gonna reinforce it again. Right now I've only gone through it one time, so I'm going to take this needle and I'm gonna pass back through all of these seed beads and through the button. And when you come out the button and you have 3 seed beads in the top, you have to make sure that you go through the button there on the side like this, okay, and then go through the middle one all by itself, and then go down and go through the seed bead and the button and all the other seed beads at the same time. Okay, so there's 2 passes, and then I'm going to swap over to my other needle and do the same thing. Okay. Pull that tight through the seed bead. And then down through this seed bead, the button, and all 5 seed beads. Okay, then I'm going to crisscross through my 4mm. Take the other string, do the same thing, crisscross to the 4. Pull both ends tight, and now we are ready to tie our half hitch knots. So right here I am. So let's see, where do I want to tie them at? I think that I'm going to go back into the daggers and tie them. I think it's going to be a pain to tie them there. So I'm going to sew back through the mushroom, through the 4mm, exit out over here. Take this needle on the other side, do the same through my mushroom, and then the 4mm bead. Okay, and then I'm gonna go through the 3mm right here. Okay, and now I'm going to start tying knots. Before I do, I'm gonna do a little pull on both threads and make sure that they're tight and I don't have any sticking out. Okay, and now I'm going to tie knots. So I'm just going to take the needle, pass underneath right here, make a loop, and pass through the loop twice. There's 1, 2 times. Pull that down, pull it tight. I'll pass through 2 beads, through 2 daggers, pull that through, and then I'll tie another knot here. So I'm gonna go and use up all my thread tying half hitch knots, just like this. I'm gonna pass through this dagger, through this bead, go through the 4, through the mushroom, the 4, and then I'll tie half hitch knots again. And you want to do the same thing with both threads, tying half hitch knots, and then when you tie all your knots, you'll be all done, and you have this really cool looking bracelet. I really like how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a really neat project. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and make sure you click the bell button so you get notified when I upload new videos, and like me on Facebook, and don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry you've made from my videos on my Facebook page, and follow me on Pinterest. Thanks for watching.